Hi, this is Karen at Snickerdoodle Designs. Today let's take a look at the high pass filter in Photoshop and see how it can help us sharpen our images. Today I'm using Photoshop Creative Cloud 2014, so my screenshots may look a little different from what you see in your own version of Photoshop, but in general the path to the tools is still the same. Whenever we're going to sharpen an image, typically we would go up to Filter, Sharpen, and then our options for Sharpen are over here to the right. To use a high pass filter, we will want to go down 3 more spots to Other, and then high pass is over here in this pop-out box on the right hand side. But before we use that, let's set up our document. We will be working on a duplicate, so I'm going to duplicate this image of my rocks by hitting Ctrl J. Making sure that the duplicate is still selected, I will go over to Filter, Other, High Pass, and then that duplicate will be turned to 50% gray. This high pass window will open, and this is where we will do our work. We have a slider down here, and this is going to choose the radius in pixels that we want to sharpen. High Pass Sharpen works by sharpening just the edges of the document and not the whole image, and so that's why it's really a superb tool to use to sharpen images. We want to move this slider so that we can, I'm going to bring it all the way down here so you can see that that's a 50% gray solid, and what we want to do is just move the slider until we can just see the images, the edges of the images coming up. And just as a side note, when I opened this, I think it said 4.5 or something like that. That was the last setting that I used, and that's why that number was there. So whatever you use will always show up the next time you open the filter. So I'm going to bring this up to maybe about here. I like to over sharpen it just a tad because then I can always make it a little less sharp in other ways, which I will show you in just a minute. So that looks pretty good. If you bring it up too much, you'll get this kind of a glowing effect around it, and that's way too much. So let's bring it back right about here. I'm looking at this image and this secondarily, but this is the primary image that I'm looking at over here. Actually, I think that's probably about too much. That looks pretty good. And when you're happy with that, just click OK. And that sharpening is applied to your duplicate copy here. Now what we need to do is come up to our blend mode and change that blend mode to overlay. And now we have a really nice sharp copy. It's before and after. Now that actually might be a little too sharp, and that's fine. We can fix that in one of 3 different ways. We can just hit undo and go back and lower that slider just a little bit if we like. But I like to do it in one of 2 other ways. I can change the overlay to soft light, and that helps significantly, I think. Let's go back to overlay and go back to soft light. So I like soft light a lot. Or if we wanted to keep it to at overlay, we could also just lower the opacity of that as well. And that looks nice too. So just play around with your image and see which one that you like the best. And that's really how easy it is. It's so simple. It's a great way to get a really nice sharp look to your images. It's quick and easy. Thanks for visiting. Hope to see you next week.